On April 28, 2025, a date etched in the memories of millions, the Iberian Peninsula was plunged into darkness. A massive power outage, unprecedented in its scale and scope, swept across Spain and Portugal, leaving a trail of chaos and disruption in its wake. This was not just a blackout, it was a stark reminder of our intricate dependence on the invisible force that powers our modern world. The outage, which began in the early morning hours, brought major cities like Madrid, Lisbon, and Barcelona to a standstill. Millions were left without electricity, their daily routines upended, their lives thrown into disarray. From the darkened streets to the silent homes, a sense of unease permeated the air. It was a stark reminder of our vulnerability in the face of technological failures, a wake-up call to the fragility of the systems we often take for granted. As the hours ticked by and the lights remained off, questions mounted. What caused this catastrophic outage? How could such a massive failure occur in an age of advanced technology? And most importantly, when would the lights come back on? The blackout began without warning. In homes and apartments, the hum of refrigerators ceased, lights flickered and died, and televisions went dark in the middle of broadcasts. Streets, normally bustling with life, were eerily quiet, illuminated only by the headlights of stranded cars. Traffic lights blinked out, transforming rush hour into a chaotic ballet of honking horns and near misses. Businesses were forced to close their doors, unable to operate without power. Cash registers sat idle, ATMs went dark, and the digital hum of commerce was replaced by the murmur of uncertainty. As the sun began to set, the true extent of the blackout became terrifyingly clear. The familiar glow of city lights was replaced by an unsettling darkness. The Iberian Peninsula, once a beacon of light on the European continent, had gone dark. In the immediate aftermath of the blackout, speculation ran rampant. Was it a terrorist attack? A deliberate act of sabotage aimed at crippling the Iberian Peninsula? Or was it a catastrophic failure of the power grid, a consequence of outdated infrastructure or unforeseen technical glitches? Initial investigations quickly ruled out cyber attacks as the cause of the outage. Instead, the focus shifted to a perfect storm of factors that converged to create the conditions for such a massive failure. One key factor was the sudden loss of a significant amount of power generation capacity. Reports pointed to a 15-gigawatt drop in power generation in a matter of seconds, a loss equivalent to shutting down 15 nuclear power plants simultaneously. While the exact cause of this sudden drop remains under investigation, experts believe it was likely triggered by a combination of technical failures and grid instability, potentially exacerbated by the increasing reliance on renewable energy sources. The blackout ignited a fierce debate about the role of renewable energy in the modern power grid. Spain, in particular, had made significant strides in incorporating solar power into its energy mix, boasting a 55% reliance on solar at the time of the blackout. Critics were quick to point to this reliance on solar power as a contributing factor to the outage. Solar power, unlike traditional fossil fuel or nuclear power plants, is inherently intermittent. When the sun goes down, so does solar power generation, creating challenges for maintaining a stable and consistent flow of electricity to the grid. Proponents of renewable energy, however, argued that focusing solely on the intermittency of solar power was short-sighted. They pointed to the lack of adequate energy storage systems and the need for a more robust and flexible grid that could better handle the fluctuations of renewable energy sources. The domino effect: transportation, communication, and daily life in disarray. The impact of the blackout extended far beyond darkened homes and businesses. It cascaded through critical infrastructure, bringing transportation, communication, and daily life to a grinding halt. Rail services ground to a standstill, leaving thousands of passengers stranded at stations or stuck on trains between destinations. Airports, too, were thrown into disarray, with some forced to rely on backup generators to maintain essential operations. Communication networks were equally hard hit. Mobile phone service was spotty or non-existent in many areas, and internet access was disrupted for millions. ATMs went offline, credit card transactions failed, and the digital economy ground to a halt. For many, the blackout meant more than just inconvenience. It posed a serious threat to their well-being. Hospitals struggled to maintain essential services, relying on backup generators with limited capacity. Elderly residents, particularly those dependent on medical equipment, faced life-threatening situations. The blackout, in its totality, laid bare the fragility of modern life and the ripple effect of a single, catastrophic event. Government response from emergency declarations to free buses. As the blackout plunged the Iberian Peninsula into chaos, governments scrambled to respond to the crisis. Both Spain and Portugal declared states of emergency, mobilizing resources and personnel to address the immediate needs of their citizens. Emergency meetings were convened, with government officials working tirelessly to assess the situation, coordinate relief efforts, and restore power to the affected areas. The Spanish National Security Council and the Portuguese cabinet held urgent meetings, coordinating responses across multiple agencies. In Madrid, the city's emergency services distributed blankets and water to those left stranded by the blackout. Free bus services were organized to help people navigate the darkened city. Across the Iberian Peninsula, a sense of urgency and determination prevailed as governments worked to restore order and bring an end to the blackout. Investigating the blackout. Searching for answers and accountability. In the wake of the blackout, a wave of investigations was launched to determine the root causes of the outage and identify any parties responsible for the failures that led to such a widespread disruption. Portugal swiftly initiated audits across its transportation, aviation, and communications sectors, seeking to understand the vulnerabilities exposed by the blackout and develop strategies to prevent similar incidents in the future. An independent report was commissioned with a 20-day deadline to deliver findings and recommendations. Spain, too, embarked on a quest for answers. The Spanish High Court launched an investigation to explore the possibility of a terrorist attack as the cause of the blackout, though no hypotheses were ruled out at the outset. The investigations, while still ongoing, underscored the seriousness with which both countries approached the blackout and their commitment to holding those responsible accountable for the failures that led to such a widespread disruption. The energy debate reignited, balancing renewables with reliability. The blackout reignited a long-simmering debate about the future of energy in a world grappling with the urgent need to transition away from fossil fuels. In Spain, where the government had made ambitious commitments to renewable energy, the blackout fueled calls for a more balanced energy mix, one that included not only solar and wind power but also more reliable sources like nuclear and natural gas. Experts argued that relying too heavily on intermittent renewable sources without adequate storage solutions or a more flexible grid could leave countries vulnerable to blackouts and energy insecurity. The blackout served as a stark reminder that the transition to a cleaner energy future must be carefully managed, balancing the need for sustainability with the equally important need for reliability and resilience. Lessons learned: the importance of preparedness and a resilient grid. The Great Iberian Blackout of 2025, while disruptive and costly, served as a valuable, albeit painful, lesson in the importance of preparedness and the need for a resilient and adaptable energy grid. It highlighted the interconnectedness of our modern world, where a failure in one sector, such as energy, can have cascading effects on transportation, communication, and the very fabric of daily life. The blackout also underscored the need for individual preparedness. Citizens were reminded of the importance of having emergency kits, backup power sources, and plans in place to cope with extended power outages. Perhaps the most enduring lesson of the blackout was the realization that a reliable and resilient energy grid is not a luxury, but a necessity in the 21st century. As we move towards a future powered by cleaner sources of energy, we must do so with a clear-eyed understanding of the challenges and a commitment to investing in the technologies and infrastructure needed to ensure a smooth and secure transition. Stay safe.